Hello and welcome to the TrainerWise Daily-ish Show. My name is Daniel Torres. On today's episode, we're discussing the effectiveness of random training.
There's a return on the amount of time, the progression you get from the amount of time you spend. Everything we do is diminishing returns. Everything, right?
Hey, this is a call out to all strength coaches and trainers out there. If you would like to share your views on a given topic, just go to trainerwise.com. Fill out the contact form. Tell us the topic that's of interest to you, and we'll get you on as soon as possible. We're filling up shows at the moment, currently taking guest speakers. So please do take the time now to contact us there, and we'll get you on. Today's guest coming from, is it Quebec over there, Chris?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Chris Severs from Quebec, famous for his Anchor Point training program, which we're going to talk about on another episode. But we brought him on today to talk about his views on what people think about, or what he thinks about, the idea of training without a specific periodized plan or different variations there in there. So let me ask you the first question, Chris. I always say, periodization gets all the credit. Can random training in some areas yield the same results? Are they different? What are your thoughts?
Boy, it's a deep, it's a deep rabbit hole, right?
Yeah.
First of all, I think purely random anything is very difficult to have a goal. Yeah. But change and variety, I think, is probably an element that is very misunderstood. And so that's probably the first thing that I'd like to the point I'd like nuance, if you will, that I'd like to talk about. The idea that adaptation is caused by demand, right? Every time you do something new, you're sore. Now, there's a learning curve to learning how to do everything new to a degree. Once you get good at doing something, well, you can progress, and there's a return on the amount of time, the progression you get from the amount of time you spend.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything
we do is diminishing returns. Everything, right? But everything requires a certain amount of repetition to be mastered. It's that it's finding that point. So random, not so much. I think that where we get bogged down or where we lose momentum in terms of evolving better practices is by saying no, we figured it out. This is the way to periodize this type of workout. Boy, we've got protocols, and we're constantly testing protocols, and hopefully constantly improving them.
Right.
My recent protocols tell me that for an aging athlete, 56-year-old athlete, high variety, short, intense workouts, allowing me faster recovery, seems to be more optimal than longer workouts doing the same thing. It's not to say that I wouldn't get benefit from doing all those things, because it's all variety. As long as the moment you're creating a useful demand that you haven't created before, you're on the right path. The moment you're creating a new exercise that is helpful that you haven't done before, you're on the right path.
That's what I was going to say, is you could have a variety of movements within the same program. I mean, in a way, that's how you periodize, right? I mean, you try to say, okay, I'm going to move. Maybe I'm going to pull in this plane, or I'm going to push in this plane to develop my strength in this plane. But there's different ways to do it. I can use cables. I can use, chest passes with heavy balls. I can use some kind of eccentric loading with like a plyo push-up. I know there's different variations that are the same movement pattern, so therefore you're going to be progressing towards the same direction, which is good. And maybe challenging yourself because there's a little bit different variables that you have to contend with, like maybe instability of the shoulder girdle if you're on an unstable surface, or variations that are in alignment with your goal. I wonder, I think the idea personally that the idea of random training can be effective if your goal is generalized fitness. Let's say increased cardiovascular fitness, increased muscular endurance, and increased strength. If you're a high-level athlete, that's kind of hard to do if you're already at the top. Then I would say you need a more focused, narrow approach. That's my idea. But I don't know that for the average person who's deconditioned, who goes into, let's say, a circuit like curves or something like this that is, I don't want to say it's random, but it's so multiple. You're training in so many different areas at once, different things, that, it's going to yield you some benefit. Doing something is going to yield you some benefit. And that's why I want to ask you this next question. CrossFit, I mean, workouts of the day, right? They have their WOD. And so to me, the idea is if, you see those people, if you beat somebody really hard by working them intensely without rest, nonstop, from boom to boom, this exercise to that exercise, are you going to be able to get somebody to a generalized fitness goal just as well as if you had a very, periodized program? Okay, strength on these days, low intensity on these days, recovery here, another kind of strength day, upper body, lower body mix on this day. I mean, could you yield the same results for generalized fitness?
So, first of all, I think that optimal comes in a lot of flavors. There's optimal in terms of, amount of time. It's optimal type of training you can do if you've got a group, or amount of time you've got to work out, the amount of time that you've got bandwidth, how long you've been training, what your understanding of training is, and where you are in your life. I mean, a young person growing fast as opposed to an older person. The workout of the day approach, I think the big advantage of the CrossFit is it brings a level of intensity that's hard to get unless you're going for a really goal-oriented approach, right? So that's the advantage of CrossFit. The disadvantage, I think, is that the variety is one-dimensional. It's in the sense that the intensity doesn't vary. Okay, the intensity is always balls to the wall. Well, you don't always go balls to the wall, and here's the other thing I found. There's a season for everything. There's a certain time of year where I want to train hard cardio. There's another time of year where I'm going to back off the cardio so I can make other types of strength gains, because you can't necessarily build the same type of strength all together all at the same time. And I think that's where periodization makes a tremendous amount of sense. The whole notion of you building heavy muscle to start. My understanding of muscle growth is that all muscle fibers start out as slow twitch, and they differentiate after they form. Okay, so there's a whole case to be made for building muscle mass and then differentiating that mass and periodizing that mass. However, optimal practice, is if you're an athlete, I think is still higher variety than a lot of guys are working. Probably shorter, more often than a lot of guys are working. I think that's generally where the direction's going, and I think that we're learning. One of the things we learned really recently is that muscle improvement, strength, is largely a question of work. It's not, the notion that, 10 reps of this or 5 reps of that or 15 reps to fatigue. It's more important just to get to fatigue, how many times you get to fatigue. So a lot of those real paradigms that we're talking about, reps in that, are really being challenged, just in that sense. So that type of periodization is less an issue, say, for example, backing off reps. It's more like, how do you create? I think it's more probably going to be useful to figure out different ways to create chest work, if you're going to do chest day, for example, rather than simply trying to do more weight faster. Okay, so I think more angles, and again, if your sport is just trying to get good in that range of motion, because you're an Olympic lifter or you're going to the CrossFit Games, great. But if you're trying to be an athlete, my sense is try and figure out, as you evolve your practice, more dimensions, more ways to work the same motion but in different dimensions and in ways that are full body. I think that's why suspension and the whole anchor point thing, is moving, because you can work all these angles.
In regards to that, that's kind of the next question, or the last question I was going to ask is, or one of them, that if you have an array of exercises that are heading the direction of the clients, is it okay to let them choose and say, okay, hey, we can do this, 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 or this? Which one do you want to do? I mean, to me, I think the idea of spontaneity and variety seems good, but there's a detriment if you have, a very necessary goal that you have to achieve, not called generalized fitness. But if your goal is, hey, I just want to be fit, I want to have fun, I want to, stay lean or get leaner, I want to improve cardiovascular fitness, I want to improve strength, maybe not in a big sense, but in a generalized, kind of like what you were saying, you can't, go in all directions at once at the same time. But if you wanted to do that, your progress would probably be pretty slow in all directions at the same time. But if somebody wanted to have fun and have variety, could you give them you know, let's say a bag of exercises, pick from these, your choice. Is that does that work over, let's say, a 12-week period? Would you
Well,
guess?
you know, I would say again, you know, optimal results. Whether it's you could say, okay, well, you could, I suppose you could say your optimal 12-week results would be if I give you a very specific program and you go at it and you're highly motivated, and I teach you how to do a lot of different exercises, so you really invest a lot of time on the learning part of your program. Uh, you know, but the practical reality is that I can probably teach you, you know, this many exercises over that time to do well.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm well covered on, the basic movements, pushing, pulling, torso, and I've got, you know, sort of a sense of a good program there, and you're consistent, you're going to get great results. You can get really strong doing anything from yoga to kettlebells to body weight to gymnastics to, you know, to strong. Every practice works. They're all good, you know, they are all good, and so it's optimal. Man, I think optimal is teaching people the basic understanding of how they can accomplish a practice, in a way that they can be consistent, you know, and if they get the extra benefit of being in a group, because boy, in a group is great. You get all those endorphins, and it's like dancing, man. You can dance all night, you don't get tired, right?
You push hard.
You know, rugby too. You know, I go and play rugby. I go awful hard for 80 minutes, and I couldn't go that hard unless the adrenaline was pumping, and you just can't, right? So sports is good for that. You know, it gets the juices going. So it's nice to have a practice if you can. It's nice to have a practice also that you can do, you know, in a way where you get some ongoing thing. You don't have to kill yourself. You just need to, you know, sort of like eating, you know, honestly. And by the way, that's the other thing. As much as possible for us, you know, in the industry to sort of have that holistic approach and say, look, you know, you're going to get there as long as you're consistent and you have good habits, you improve your vocabulary. It's maybe less important your exact program for that 12 weeks, if you will, than it is that you gain a certain understanding for this 12 weeks and let me progress you to something else in the next 12 weeks. And boy, you know, 2 years down the line, you're going to have a big understanding, and then you'll have lots, and you'll be able to write your own thing, boy, doesn't it someday come down to how you're feeling that day too, Daniel? Somebody says,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, that was.
But you know, today I don't feel, you know, today I could, but boy, I might go really hard. I might have an amazing some other session if I'm tuned into, you know, that's the other part, tuning in, and you know, boy, you get so many guys talking about fine-tuning subtleties of technique, and to the extent to which we can all be better in touch with how we feel as we're moving through exercise, that whole yoga approach, if we took that more to all the rest of what we do, I think we would, you know, clean up, you know, I think our techniques would all improve too, you know.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's directly related to non-competitive athletes. So, like the notion of saying, hey, you know what, gosh, maybe let's try this today. You know, I can see a lot of coaches saying, good try, get your ass in line over there. Shut up, I didn't ask you. I'm not asking. Get over there. So, I mean, to the non-athlete, that's big time important. And I think sometimes we tend to overlay our programs and ideals that we have for those who are trying to get to a goal in a very specific amount of time, and those who have competitive goals, to the general fitness person, the person who's been doing it for 12 years, the person who's already done, you know, all these 5Ks, you know, all these different events and whatnot, has a lot of achievements, and wants to have variation, wants to have fun. I think that's very true.
Maybe wants to learn how to do some pull-ups, or maybe wants to go climbing, or do a new sport. They need to get a little better at something that they weren't good at. Well, I tell you, I use music as an analogy. You know, you're always evolving as a musician. I started playing an instrument, 5-6 years ago. And I found small sessions a few times a day. I progressed far more quickly than if I tried to play my instrument for an hour a day. Yeah. All the other connections I get from just taking up that new thing at a late age, you know, I'm here to say that as much as we want to find optimal practices for training young athletes, which is one approach, and it's a whole subject in and of itself. Mm-hmm. The other approach is, okay, what are you setting yourself up for at 30 if you want to talk about a lifetime of fitness? Well,
right.
What am I setting up? I want to know what it all is. I want to know ultimately what all my options are and all these different aspects, because they all clearly have something different to offer.
I would definitely agree with that, and that's a very kind of a closing statement. Real quick, I know there's a lot more to talk about, and I like to expand a little bit on that. But I like to try to keep them specific to certain areas. I'd like to have you on, and maybe we can break down the idea of. You seem like a very energetic person, and I had this conversation on a different episode about fun and how much fun matters, and then.
Man, fun approaches everything.
Yeah.
Approaches.
I mean, the person who's leading you, like leading in general. I mean, definitions, how you do it, motivation. That's another episode we're gonna do. Maybe we'll pull you for that one. Real quick, let me ask you, if people want to get a hold of you, they want to hear more about what you think, the device you created, Anchor Point. Where can people get a hold of you, find out more about what you have going on?
So look, my whole thing unfolds on Facebook. I'm in early days of commercializing a tool called the ARC. You can find me, Chris Severs, Severs on Facebook, Evolution in Training on Facebook. I do have a website, very rudimentary, evolutionintraining.com. But very, very soon, Daniel, some very interesting tools coming for Anchor Point, for both specialized athletic training, rehab, and just general fitness. Just good, basic, functional tools.
Super cool, man. Thanks for coming on. When you get those all set up, let's do a quick breakdown on those. So, I'd like to have you on and share what you have. I really do like the idea of kind of tossing up the salad of fitness ideas, where we kind of get a little bit, piling on what other people said. I like to peel it back and say, is that true? Or can we try this? Can we try that? So I'm very interested on different ideas. I want to say thanks for coming on, Chris, and thank you everybody for watching.
Cheers. Thanks, Lena.
Show me a good time. Oh yeah. Show me a good time.